The Canada Federal Medical Agency and Medical Organizations. Canadian Medical Introduction. Healthcare in Canada is controlled by the provincial governments, with the federal government giving them money to help run it. You have to prove you're a Canadian citizen and a resident of your province, then they give you an MSI card, medical social insurance, which you can use to get essential medical care covered for free. Read the little book they give you, because there are several exemptions, most certainly dental work, some eye care, physiotherapy, and if you want a medical checkup done for anything other than an existing illness, they won't cover it. So if you need a checkup for work, travel to another country, or even if you just want to get checked out, you have to pay for it out of your own pocket. The biggest complaint about healthcare is the waiting period. They're almost always overbooked, so if you need anything done, get on the list and make an appointment as quickly as possible to avoid delays. The quality is generally adequate, although many specialists go stateside for more money, the result being that there is a shortage of specialist doctors. Some of the current shortages of doctors in Canada are cancer doctors, family doctors, heart doctors, obstetrics, delivering babies, in which case use a midwife, transplant doctors. Rural communities have a tougher go of it than urban centers, with an extreme shortage of family doctors in a ratio of generally 1 to 2 doctors per 1,000 people, when it should be about 1 doctor to every 200 people. Current family doctors are overworked, underpaid, and underappreciated. In the future, physician assistants, a step down from doctor, nurses and holistic doctors, may take up some of the slack for the shortage of family doctors in Canada. Governments are imposing stricter budgetary controls on hospitals and doctors, with the net result being that sometimes it appears that there's no money for the services you need, in which case you have to keep bugging them and look for alternative ways through the system to get what you want, because there are always several pathways to get what you need within the system, like try a different hospital or establish residency in another province. What it's evolving to is that the government will cover your expenses if you're sick and need essential services to heal, but if it's not really necessary for your survival and health, they won't cover it, like reversals of vasectomies, some rehabilitation, gender reassignment surgery, and a host of other things. In an attempt to cut the costs of universal health care, the different provincial governments are cutting out non-essential services, which are then only available to people who can pay for them through the private sector, which is slowly creeping back into the system for these procedures, things like fertility, contraception, cosmetic surgery, ambulance, private nurse, home care, holistic therapies, vaccinations for travel, some x-rays, circumcisions of newborns, psychotherapy, removal of benign moles, certain types of rehabilitation and medical testing facilities which can check you out and look for danger spots, but because you're not directly threatened, the government won't cover it. Because of medical advances and the government's desire to cut costs, you'll find there's less hospitalization and more outpatient care, kinda like go in, get your surgery or treatment, then go home immediately to heal there. There's even a shift from large general hospitals to the smaller community clinics, which can handle most of the minor ailments. Many people wait until they get sick to seek out a doctor or go to the emergency room of a hospital, but the wise thing to do is to find a good family doctor, go see him occasionally, even if you have to shell out for a general medical checkup. A good doctor will write it up as a necessary procedure because of the alleged pain you were experiencing, and when such time comes that you need serious treatment, he can help you navigate through the system. He knows the other doctors. He can refer you and get you in for appointments quickly. If you're over 65, you have to pay a fee of about $200 a year to stay covered by the system. Probably the best Canadian medical book is The Complete Canadian Health Guide by June Engel, keyporter.com. Books about healthcare in Canada are at hashtag 362.109 or RA395 to RA412 at the library. There are hundreds of health books at number 610 to number 619 of the Dewey Decimal System at the library. Chapter 1. Canadian Medical Information. Healthcare in Canada. Books about healthcare in Canada are at hashtag 362.109 or RA395 to RA412 at the library. MSI Inquiry Office. Medical Social Insurance. 800-563-8880. 888-846-9199, Dental Services Covered Info. 800-544-6191, Drugs/Prescriptions. Canada.ca/n/health-canada/services/canada-health-care-system.html. Also info about organ donation. Canadian Government Medical Info. Canada.ca/n/health-canada.html. hc-sc.gc.ca, 613-957-2991, Health Canada. hc-sc.gc.ca/childhood-youth. hc-sc.gc.ca/childhood-youth, Health Canada for Youth. hc-sc.gc.ca/chp/ed/psb, Product Safety Program. hc-sc.gc.ca/English/promo, Public Health. hc-sc.gc.ca/HPB. hc-sc.gc.ca/HPB/AHI/Healthy Heart Kit. hc-sc.gc.ca/HPB/Family Violence. hc-sc.gc.ca/HPB/ICDC/C/index.html, Health Canada's Cancer Bureau. hc-sc.gc.ca/HPB/LCDC. hc-sc.gc.ca/HPB/LCDC.bid/index.html, Infectious Diseases. hc-sc.gc.ca/HPB/LCDC/BRCH/index.html, Pregnancy. hc-sc.gc.ca/HPB/LCDC/FedLab, Federal Lab. hc-sc.gc.ca/HPB-DGPS/theraput/HTML/DPD.html, Canadian Drug Product Database. hc-sc.gc.ca/HPFB-DGPSA/TPD-DPT, Therapeutic Products. hc-sc.gc.ca/HPPB, Health Promotions and Programs Branch. hc-sc.gc.ca/HPPB/AHI/Workplace. hc-sc.gc.ca/HPPB/ICDE, Disease Databank Canada. hc-sc.gc.ca/HPPB/Nutrition. hc-sc.gc.ca/HPPB/PAGuide, Healthy Living. hc-sc.gc.ca/HPPH.Nutrition, Health Canada Nutrition. hc-sc.gc.ca/iya-vsv/med/internet_e.html, Buying Drugs Over the Internet. hc-sc.gc.ca/main/lcdc/web/bc/index.html, Cancer. hc-sc.gc.ca/pmra-arla/qpnote-e.html, Dealing with Pests. hc-sc.gc.ca/pphb-dgsbsb/index, Population and Public Health, which means disease control. chp-pcs.gc.ca, Canada Health Portal. cihr-irsc.gc.ca, Institute of Health Research. en.wikipedia.org/wiki/Canada_health_act. healthcanada.ca, healthcanada.ca. 800 Akanada. healthcanada.ca/food guide. foci-asbc.gc.ca, Public Health Agency of Canada. voyage.gc.ca/main/drug/medication-n.asp, How to Travel Internationally with Drugs. Canada.ca. 800 O Canada. 800-465-7735, TTY/TDD. Canadian Government Service Information for all departments. Canada Government Health Medical Agency websites from tools.ispor.org/HTA roadmap/Health Authority America.asp hc-sc.gc.ca/dhp-mps/index-ang.php, Health Canada. hc-sc.gc.ca/aussie-dir-gen/hpf-dirgen/hpf-dgpsa/tpd-dgp-index-ang.php, Therapeutic Products Directorate, TPD. hc-contact/dhp-mps/hpf-dgpsa/mdb-bmm-ang.php, Medical Devices Bureau, MDB. pmprb-sepmb.gc.ca/n/home, the Patented Medicine Prices Review Board, PMPRB. cadth.ca, the Canadian Agency for Drugs and Technologies in Health, CADTH. cadth.ca/n/products/CDR, the Common Drug Review, CDR. pcodr.ca/wcpc/portal/home?AFR loop =$490953449094000 ampersand _AFR Window mode 0 and _ADF.control state WNXJZHBBF_4 Pan-Canadian Oncology Drug Review Process, PCODR. enesss.qc.ca/n/home.html, Institut National d'Excellence NSANTNEET and Services Socios, INES. Canada Healthcare Industry Organizations. hc-sc.gc.ca/partners/main.htm, Canadian Health Organizations. amo-es.com, Ambulance Services, Ontario. kenhealth.com, Canadian Healthcare Technology Magazine, Directory. cdnunderwriter.com/publications/rehabilitation.asp, Rehabilitation and Medical Services Guide. cihi.ca, Canadian Institute for Health Information. hccsync.qualitygroup.com, Healthcare Information Management and Communications Canada. hintbc.org, BC Health Industry Development Office. hrdc-drhc.gc.ca/sector/english/industry profiles/healthtel/index.shtml, Telehealth Sector. ihe.ca, Institute of Health Economics. ipsos-read.com/services/p_health.cfm, Market Research on Healthcare. keithhealthcare.com, Go to Publications, Canadian Healthcare Sourcebook. quebecmonde.com/repertoires_body_catalog.htm, List of healthcare organizations, hospitals, etc. Quebec. smartrisk.ca/library.html, Info on accidents and injuries. southam-b2b.com/magazine/dental.html, Dental Directory, Health Facilities Directory, Medical Directory, Pharmacists Directory. sbamanagement.com. straightgis.gc.ca/ssg/dd70008e.html, Dentistry Field. thecareguide.com, Guide to Senior Housing, Hospices and Nursing Homes, Ontario. Chapter 2. Canadian Medical Organizations. Major Canadian medical organizations. crha-health.ab.ca/authres/kenlink.htm, Canadian Medical Organizations, Hospitals, etc. caep.ca, Canadian Association of Emergency Physicians. cihi.ca, Canadian Institute for Health Information. cma.ca, Canadian Medical Association. Canadian Healthcare Sourcebook. Sherwood Pub. 18, 6 Penny Court. Thornhill, on L3T4ES. 905-889-8505. Fax, 905-889-4117. Sherwood@interlog.com. Southam Information Products. 1450 Don Mills Road. Don Mills, on M3B2X7. 800-668-2374. 800-387-6598. 416-445-6641. Fax, 416-442-2020. corporate.southam.ca. Canadian Dental Directory, Canadian Medical Directory, Canadian Pharmacists Directory. Canadian Medical Association. 1867 Alta Vista Way. Ottawa, on KIG 3 year. 613-731-9331. 800-267-9703. CMAMSC@cma.ca. cma.ca. Canadian Mental Health Association. 8 King Street East. Number 810. Toronto, on M5CLBS. 416-484-7750. Fax, 416-484-4617. National@cmha.ca. cmha.ca. Canadian Public Health Association. 1565 Carling Avenue. Number 400. Ottawa, on KIS 8R1. 613-725-3769. 613-725-9826. Fax, 613-725-9826. cpha.ca. Free Health Booklets. Canadian Government Publishing. Ottawa, on Kia 0S9. 800-635-7943. 819-956-4800. Fax, 800-565-7757. Fax, 819-994-1498. Publications at pwgsc.gc.ca. Publications.pwgsc.gc.ca. Free catalog of publications put out by the government, some of them covering medical topics. Canadian Association of Occupational Therapists. CTTC Building. Number 3400. 1125 Colonel By Drive. Ottawa, on K1SSR1. 613-523-2268. Fax, 613-523-2552. caot.ca. Canadian Association on Gerontology. 100, 824 Meath Street. Ottawa, on K1Z 6 times 10 to the power of 8th. 613-728-9347. Fax, 613-728-8913. info@cagac.ca. cagac.ca. Canadian Centre for Occupational Health and Safety. 135 Hunter Street East. Hamilton, on L8N1 millisecond. 905-572-4400. Fax, 905-572-4500. mgr-inquiries@ccohs.ca. ccohs.ca. Canadian Chiropractic Association. 1396 Eglinton Avenue. West. Toronto, on M6C 2 times 10 to the power of 4th. 416-781-5656. Fax, 416-781-7344. CCAC Hero at ccachero.org. ccachero.org. Canadian Dental Association. 1815 Alta Vista. Ottawa, on K1G3Y6. 613-523-1770. Fax, 613-523-7736. Reception at cda-adc.ca. cda-adc.ca. Canadian Healthcare Association. 17 York Street. Ottawa, on KIN 9J6. 613-241-8999. 8005. Fax, 613-241-5055. info@cha.org. Canadian-healthcare.org. Federation of Provincial and Territorial Hospital and Health Organizations. Canadian Home Care Association. 17, York Street. Number 401. Ottawa, on Kin 9J6. 613-569-1585. Fax, 613-569-1604. cdnhomecare.on.ca. Canadian Institute of Biotechnology. 130, Albert Street. Ottawa, on KIP 5G4. 613-563-8849. Fax L 613-563-8850. cib@biotech.ca. biotech.ca. Canadian Medical Association. 1867, Alta Vista Drive. Ottawa, on K1G3Y6. 800-457-4205. Fax, 613-236-8864. thecma.ca. Canadian Nurses Association. 50 Driveway. Ottawa, on K2P1 × 10 squared. 613-237-2133. Fax, 613-237-3520. info@cna-aiic.ca. cna-nurses.ca. Canadian Physiotherapy Association. 2345, Yonge Street. Number 410. Toronto, on M4P2 × 10 to the power of 5th. 416-932-1888. Fax, 416-932-9708. Information at physicaliotherapy.ca. physicaliotherapy.ca. Canadian Psychological Association. 151, Slater Street. Number 205. Ottawa, on K1P5H3. 613-237-2144. Fax, 613-237-1674. cpamemb@cpa.ca. cpa.ca. Canadian Society for International Health. 1 Nicholas St. Number 1105. Ottawa, on Kin 7B7. 613-241-5785. Fax, 613-241-3845. csih@csih.org. csih.org. Canadian Society of Microbiologists. 1200, Prince of Wales Drive. Ottawa, on K2C3Y4. 613-723-7233. Fax, 613-723-8792. info@csm-scm.org. csm-scm.org. Canadian Veterinary Medical Association. 339, Booth Street. Ottawa, on K1R7K1. 613-236-1162. Fax, 613-236-9681. info@canadianveterinarians.net. cvma-acmv.org. cvma.org. canadianveterinarians.net. College of Family Physicians of Canada. 2630, Skymark Avenue. Mississauga, on L4W5A4. 905-629-0900. Fax, 905-629-0893. cfpc.ca. Canadian Nurses Association. 50 The Driveway. Ottawa, on K2P1F2. 613-237-2133. Fax, 613-237-3520. cna-nurses.ca. Canadian Pharmacists Association. 1785, Alta Vista Drive. 2nd FL. Ottawa, on K1G3Y6. 800-917-9489. Fax, 613-237-3520. cdnpharm.ca. Pharmacists.ca. Laboratory for Disease Control. Health Canada. Tunney's Pasture. Ottawa, on K1OL2. hwc.ca/hpb/lcdc/BA. Medical Council of Canada. POB 8234, STN. T. 2283 Saint Laurent Boulevard. Number 100. Ottawa, on K1G5A2. 613-521-6012. Fax, 613-521-9417. mcc.ca. Medical Device Unit. Canada. 800-267-9675. hwc.ca. Breast implant info, etc. MSI Inquiry Office. Medical Social Insurance. 800-563-8880. 888-846-9199, Dental Services Covered Info. 800-544-6191, Drugs/prescriptions. hwc.ca. Also info about organ donation. Opticians Association of Canada. 2706, 83 Gary Street. Winnipeg, MBR3C4J9. 204-982-6060. Fax, 204-947-2519. Canada at opticians.ca. Opticians.ca. Organ donation. 877-841-3929. Organ-donation-works.org. Transplants.ca. Canadian Medical Organizations 1. Government of Canada. Canada.ca. AAIA.ca, Allergy/Asthma Information Association, AAIA, Canada, CA. ACD.ca, Association of Canadian Distillers, ACD. ACE.ergonomist.ca, Association of Canadian Ergonomists, ACE. ACMC.ca, Association of Canadian Medical Colleges, ACMC. ActiveHealthyKids.ca, Foundation for Active Healthy Kids, FAHK. ADRO.on.ca, Alcohol and Drug Recovery Association of Ontario, ADRO. AFCInstitute.com, Acupuncture Foundation of Canada Institute, AFCI, Canada, CA. AFM.mb.ca, Addictions Foundation of Manitoba, AFM. ACDC.ca, Association of Haemophilia Clinic Directors of Canada, OCC. AHF.ca, Aboriginal Healing Foundation, AHF, Canada. AIA.ca, Addiction Intervention Association, AIA. AIDSlaw.ca, Canadian HIV/AIDS Legal Network. ALS.ca, ALS Society of Canada. Alzheimer.ca, Alzheimer's Society of Canada. AMTWP.org, Association of Massage Therapists and Holistic Practitioners, AMPUP, Canada. ANAC.ca, Acoustic Neuroma Association of Canada, ANAC. ANAC.on.ca, Aboriginal Nurses Association of Canada, ANAC. AND.ca, Association for the Neurologically Disabled of Canada, and Canada. AngelmanCanada.org, Canadian Angelman Syndrome Society, CAS. aolsearch.aol.com/cat.adp?ID =$258 layer =& from =SUBCATS, AOL. aolsearch.aol.com/cat.adp ?ID =$3295223 layer =& from =SUBCATS, AOL. ASBPB.org, Association of State and Provincial Psychology Boards, ASP. Asthma.ca, Asthma Society of Canada. Athletictherapy.org, Canadian Athletic Therapy Association, CATA. Canada. OCBC.org, Association of Workers' Compensation Boards of Canada, OSPC, Canada. Badgut.com, Canadian Society of Intestinal Research, CSIR. Bana.ca, Bulimia Anorexia Nervosa Association, BANA. BCRSP.ca, Board of Canadian Registered Safety Professionals, BCRSP. BetterPharmacare.com, Better Pharmacare Coalition, BPC, Canada, CA. Bioethics.ca, Canadian Bioethics Society, CBS. Bloodservices.ca, Canadian Blood Services, CBS. Bluecross.ca, Blue Cross Canada. Health Insurance. Bluecross.ca, Canadian Association of Blue Cross Plans, CAP. BrainTumor.ca, Brain Tumor Foundation of Canada, BTFC. Breast.cancer.ca, Canadian Breast Cancer Research Alliance, SPCRA, Canada, CA. CAAHTT-ACTSA.ca, Canadian Association of Animal Health Technologists and Technicians. CAN.ca, Canadian Aboriginal AIDS Network, CAN. CAATCM.com, Canadian Association of Acupuncture and Traditional Chinese Medicine. CACCB.ca, Canadian Addiction Counselors Certification Board, CACIB. CACCN.ca, Canadian Association of Critical Care Nurses, CACN. CACDS.com, Canadian Association of Chain Drug Stores, CACDS, Canada. CACcept.ca, Canadian Association of Cardiopulmonary Technologists, CACT. CACcept.com, Canadian Association for Child and Play Therapy, CACT, Canada, CA. CACR.ca, Canadian Association of Cardiac Rehabilitation, CACR. CAD.ca, Canadian Association of the Deaf, CAD. Condu.ca, Canadian Academy of Endodontics, CAE. CAEP.ca, Canadian Association of Emergency Physicians, CAEP. CAET.ca, Canadian Association for Enterostomal Therapy, CAET, Nursing. CAFC.ca, Canadian Association of Fire Chiefs, CAFC, Canada, CA. CAGA.ca, Canadian Amputee Golf Association, CAGA. CAGAC.ca, Canadian Association on Gerontology, CAG. CAG-ACT.org, Canadian Association of Gastroenterology, CAG, Canada, CA. CAG, ACCG.ca, Canadian Association of Genetic Counselors, CAGC, Canada, CA. CAGP.ca/English/about.htm, Canadian Academy of Geriatric Psychiatry, CAGP. CAHI-ICSA.ca, Canadian Animal Health Institute, CAHI. Trade Association of Animal Health. CAHPERD.ca, Canadian Association for Health, Physical Education, Recreation, and Dance. CALC.ca, Canadian Association of Independent Living Centres, CALC, Canada. CAMH.net, Centre for Addiction and Mental Health, CAMH. Toronto, Canada. CAMRT.ca, Canadian Association of Medical Radiation Technologists, CAMRITE. Canada.ca, Canadian. CanadaPHRMA.org, Canada's research-based pharmaceutical companies, RxND. Canadian, Prostate.com, Canadian Prostate Health Council, CPHC. Canadiana Udiology.ca, Canadian Academy of Audiology, CAA. Canadian Braille Authority.ca, Canadian Braille Authority, CBA Blind and Visually Impaired. Canadian Deaf Curling Association.com, Canadian Deaf Curling Association, CDCA, Canada. CanadianHarmReduction.com, the Canadian Harm Reduction Network. Canadian-Health-Network.ca, Canadian Health Network. Canadian-Health-Network.ca/one-substance_use_addictions.html, substance CE use. CanadianMidwives.org, Canadian Association of Midwives, CAM. CanadianNursesFoundation.com, Canadian Nurses Foundation, CNF. Canadian-TR.org, Canadian Therapeutic Recreation Association, CTRA. CanadianVintners.com, Canadian Vintners Association, CVA. CANATS.org, Canadian Association of Thoracic Surgeons, CATS. Cancer.ca, Canadian Cancer Society, CCS. CanFightBAC.org, Canadian Partnership for Consumer Food Safety Education, CPCFSE. CanFitPro.com, Canadian Association of Fitness Professionals, CAFP, Canada. Can.ca, Canadian Association of Neuroscience Nurses, CAN. CannabisClub.ca, Cannabis as Living Medicine Com. CannabisCoalition.ca, Canadian Cannabis Coalition, CCC. CannabisResearchInstitute.com, Cannabis Research Institute Inc. CanerTH.org, Canadian Orthopedic Foundation, COF. CanP.medical.org, Canadian Association of Neuropathologists, CANP. CanPARAPLEGIC.org, Canadian Paraplegic Association, CPA. CANAR.ca, Canadian Association for Nursing Research, CANR. CAO-ACO.org, Canadian Association of Orthodontists, CAO. CAOMS.com, Canadian Association of Oral and Maxillofacial Surgeons, COMS. CAOT.ca, Canadian Association of Occupational Therapists, CAOT. CAP.medical.org, Canadian Association of Pathologists, CAP, Canada. CAPCA.ca, Canadian Association of Provincial Cancer Agencies, CAPCA. CAPD.ca, Canadian Association of Physicians with Disabilities, CAPD. CAPDM.ca, Canadian Association for Pharmacy Distribution Management, CAPM. CAPE.ca, Canadian Association of Physicians for the Environment, CAPE. CAPHC.org, Canadian Association of Pediatric Health Centres, CAPC, Canada, CA. CAPHO.ca, Canadian Association of Pharmacy in Oncology, CAPHO. CAPO.ca, Canadian Association of Psychosocial Oncology, CAPO. CAPI.org, Canadian Association for Pastoral Practice and Education, CAP, Canada, CA. CAPS.ca, Canadian Association of Pediatric Surgeons, CAPS. CAPS.webcon.net, Canadian Association for People Who Stutter, CAPS. CAPSI.ca, Canadian Association of Pharmacy Students and Interns, CAPSIACEP. CAPT.ca, Canadian Association of Pharmacy Technicians, CAPT, Canada. CAPT, ACTP.com, Canadian Association for Population Therapeutics, CAPT. CAR.ca, Canadian Association of Radiologists, CAR. CARL.ca, Canadian Abortion Rights Action League, CARL. CardioVascularNurse.com, Canadian Council of Cardiovascular Nurses, CCCN. CardUp.org, Canadian Association of Registered Diagnostic Ultrasound Professionals. CARMS.ca, Canadian Resident Matching Service, CARMS Postgraduate Medical Training E. CARPNational.org, Canadian Association of Rehabilitation Professionals, CARP, Canada, CA. CARSP.ca, Canadian Association of Road Safety Professionals, CARSP. CAS.ca, Canadian Anesthesiologists Society, CA. CASA, AXA.ca, Canadian Agricultural Safety Association, CASA, Canada, CA. CALPA.ca, Canadian Association of Speech-Language Pathologists and Audiologists. CASM, acms.org, Canadian Academy of Sport Medicine, CASM. CAN.ca, Canadian Association of Schools of Nursing, CASN. CASW, access.ca, Canadian Association of Schools of Social Work, CASW. CAW-ACS.ca, Canadian Association of Social Workers, CASW. CADAinfo.ca, Canadian Art Therapy Association, CADA. CAVO.ivet.org, Canadian Association of Veterinary Ophthalmology, CAVO, Canada. CAWC.net, Canadian Association of Wound Care, CAWC, Canada, CA. CASWV.ca, Canadian Association of Zoo and Wildlife Veterinarians, CASWV. CBC-Canada.com, Cannabis Buyers Clubs of Canada. CBCF.org, Canadian Breast Cancer Foundation, CBCF, Canada, CA. CBCN.ca, Canadian Breast Cancer Network, CBCN. CBR.nrc.ca, Canadian Bioinformatics Resource, CBR. CBRC.ca, Canadian Board for Respiratory Care, CBRC. Canada, CA. CBTC.ca, Canadian Brain Tumor Consortium, CBTC. CCAC.ca, Canadian Council on Animal Care, CCAC Animals in Medical Experimentation. CCACC.ca, Canadian Counseling Association, CCA. CCACHero.org, Canadian Chiropractic Association, CCA. CCAR-CCR.org, Canadian Committee on Antibiotic Resistance, CCAR. CCBnational.net, Canadian Council of the Blind, CCB. CCCSociety.com, Chinese Canadian Chiropractic Society, CCCS, Canada, CA. CCDonline.ca, Council of Canadians with Disabilities, CCD. CCEB.ca, Canadian Chiropractic Examining Board, CCEB. CCES.ca, Canadian Centre for Ethics in Sports, CCES, Anti-Doping, Sports Drugs. CCFC.ca, Crohn's and Colitis Foundation of Canada, CCFC. CCHSA.ca, Canadian Council on Health Services Accreditation, CHSA. CCHSE.org, Canadian College of Health Service Executives, CCHSE. CCNM.edu, Canadian College of Naturopathic Medicine, CCNM. CCNS.org, Canadian Association of Child Neurology, CACN. CCNS.org, Canadian Congress of Neurological Sciences, CCNS. CCNS.org, Canadian Neurological Society, CNS. CCNS.org, Canadian Neurosurgical Society, CNSS. CCNS.org, Canadian Society of Clinical Neurophysiology, CSCN. CCOFEMS.org, Canadian College of Emergency Medical Services, CSEMS. CCOHS.ca, Canadian Centre for Occupational Health and Safety, COHS. CCOTA.ca, Canadian Coordinating Office for Health Technology Assessment, COTA. CCRW.org, Canadian Council on Rehabilitation and Work, CCRW. CCS.ca, Canadian Cardiovascular Society, CCS. CCSA.ca, Canadian Centre on Substance Abuse, CCSA. cctc.ca/ncthweb.nsf, National Clearinghouse on Tobacco and Health. CDAA.ca, Canadian Dental Assistants Association, CDAA. CDAAC.ca, Communicative Disorders Assistance Association of Canada, DAC. CDA-ADC.ca, Canadian Dental Association, CDA. CDBRA.ca, Canadian Deaf-Blind and Rubella Association, BRA. CDHA.ca, Canadian Dental Hygienists Association, CDHA. CDNAIDS.ca, Canadian AIDS Society, CA. CDNGRPPsych.ca, Canadian Group Psychotherapy Association, CGPA. CDNHemochromatosis.ca, Canadian Hemochromatosis Society, CHS. CDPA.com, Canadian Dental Protective Association, CPDA. CDSS.ca, Canadian Down Syndrome Society, CDSS. Celiac.ca, Canadian Celiac Association, CCA. SHOL, CESF.ca, Centres of Excellence for Women's Health, Canada, CA. CFAS.ca, Canadian Fertility and Andrology Society, CFAS. CFDP.ca, Canadian Foundation for Drug Policy, CFDP. CFLRI.ca, Canadian Fitness and Lifestyle Research Institute, CFLORI. CFMHN.org, Canadian Federation of Mental Health Nurses, CFMHN. CFMS.org, Canadian Federation of Medical Students, CFMS. CFPC.ca, College of Family Physicians of Canada, CFPC. CGNA.net, Canadian Gerontological Nursing Association, CGNA. CGWA.org, Canadian Groundwater Association, CGWA. CHIC.ca, Catholic Health Association of Canada, CHIC. ChargesENDrome.ca, Charge Syndrome Canada, CSC, Canada, CA. CHCA.org, Canadian Healthcare Anti-Fraud Association, CHCAT. CHES.org, Canadian Healthcare Engineering Society, CHES. CHHA.ca, Canadian Hard of Hearing Association, CHHA. CLA, ABSC.ca, Canadian Health Libraries Association, CHLA. CHP, PCS.gc.ca, Canada Health Portal Canadian Government Site. CHPCA.net, Canadian Hospice Palliative Care Association, CHPCA. ChronicPainCanada.org, North American Chronic Pain Association of Canada, NACPAC. CHS.ca, Canadian Hearing Society, CHS. CHS.md, Canadian Hypertension Society, CHS. CHSRF.ca, Canadian Health Services Research Foundation, CHSRF. CICH.ca, Canadian Institute of Child Health, CICH. CIHI.ca, Canadian Institute for Health Information, CIHI. CIR, IRSC.gc.ca, Canadian Institutes of Health Research, CIHR. CIPHI.ca, Canadian Institute of Public Health Inspectors, CIFI. CIRPD.org, Canadian Institute for the Relief of Pain and Disability, CIRPD. CLASS.ca, Canadian Laser Aesthetic Surgery Society, CLASS. ClubCompassion.org, Club Compassion de Montreal. CMOC.ca, Chinese Medicine and Acupuncture Association of Canada, CMAC. CMBES.ca, Canadian Medical and Biological Engineering Society, CMBAS. CMHA.ca, Canadian Mental Health Association, CMHA. CMPA.org, Canadian Medical Protective Association, CMPA. CNA, Nurses.ca, Canadian Nurses Association, CNA. CNAC.net, Canadian Network for Asthma Care, CNAC. CNAF.net, Canadian National Autism Foundation, CNAF. CNIB.ca, Canadian National Institute for the Blind, CNIB. CNPS.ca, Canadian Nurses Protective Society, CNPS. Liability Protection. CNSA.ca, Canadian Nursing Students Association, CNSA. COA-ACO.org, Canadian Orthopedic Association, COA. Kona-acis.ca, Canadian Occupational Health Nurses Association, Kona. Kona-nurse.org, Canadian Orthopedic Nurses Association, Kona. Concerns.ca, Alcohol and Drug Concerns, ADC. Consumerhealth.org, Consumer Health Organization of Canada, CHOC. Canadian Holistic. Continence-fdn.ca, Canadian Continence Foundation, TCCF, the CoraWeb.org, Canadian Orthopedic Residents Association, CORA. CORD.ca, Canadian Organization for Rare Disorders, CORD. COS.ca, Canadian Oncology Society, COS. COS.ca/camo/index.asp, Canadian Association of Medical Oncologists, CAMO. COS.ca/kino/index.html, Canadian Association of Nurses in Oncology, KINO. COS.ca/csso/index.html, Canadian Society for Surgical Oncology, CSSO. COTFcanada.org, Canadian Occupational Therapy Foundation, COTF. CPA.ca, Canadian Psychological Association, CPA. CPA-APC.org, Canadian Psychiatric Association, CPA. CPENA.ca, Canadian Parenteral Nutrition Association, PANA. CPF-Inc.ca, Canadian Porphyria Foundation, CPF. CPHA.ca, Canadian Public Health Association, CPHA. CPNA.ca, Canadian Practical Nurses Association, CPNA. CPRF.ca, Canadian Psychiatric Research Foundation, CPRF. CPS.ca, Canadian Pediatric Society, CPS. CRA.ucalgary.ca, Canadian Rheumatology Association, CRA. CRBO.ca, Canadian Registration Board of Occupational Hygienists, CRBA. CRHSBP.ca, Canadian Register of Health Service Providers in Psychology, CRHSPP. CSACI.medical.org, Canadian Society of Allergy and Clinical Immunology, CSACI. CSAPS.ca, Canadian Society for Aesthetic Plastic Surgery, CSAPS. CSCH.org, Canadian Society of Clinical Hypnosis, CSCH. CSCN, SCNC.ca, Canadian Society for Clinical Nutrition, CSCN. CSCP.ca, Canadian Society of Clinical Perfusion, CSCP. CSCPharm.com, Canadian Society of Consultant Pharmacists, CSCP. CSCT.ca, Canadian Society of Cardiology Technologists, CSCT. CSDMS.com, Canadian Society of Diagnostic Medical Sonographers, CSDMS. CSEB.ca, Canadian Society for Epidemiology and Biostatistics, CSEB. CSEP.ca, Canadian Society for Exercise Physiology, CSEP. CSGNA.com, Canadian Society of Gastroenterology Nurses and Associates, CSNA. CSHP.ca, Canadian Society of Hospital Pharmacists, CSHP. CSIH.org, Canadian Society for International Health, CSIH. CSME.org, Canadian Society of Medical Evaluators, CSME. CSMLS.org, Canadian Society for Medical Laboratory Science, CSMLS. CSMTA.ca, Canadian Sport Massage Therapists Association, CSMTA. CSNM.org, Canadian Society of Nutrition Management, CSNM. CSNSCN.ca, Canadian Society of Nephrology, CSN. CSO.on.ca, Special Olympics Canada, SOC. CSONS.com, Canadian Society of Otolaryngology Head and Neck Surgery, CSONS. CSRO.com, Canadian Spinal Research Organisation, CSRO. CSRT.com, Canadian Society of Respiratory Therapists, CSRT. CSS.to, Canadian Sleep Society, CSS. CSSE.org, Canadian Society of Safety Engineering, CSSE. CST-SCT.org, Canadian Society of Telehealth, CST. CSVS.ca, Canadian Society for Vascular Surgery, CSVS. CTCRI.ca, Canadian Tobacco Control Research Initiative, TCRI. CUA.org, Canadian Urological Association, QA. CUOG.org, Canadian Urologic Oncology Group, CUOG. CURC.ca, Canadian Urology Research Consortium, CURC. CurePain.ca, Canadian Consortium on Pain Mechanisms, Diagnosis, and Management. CVMA, acmv.org, Canadian Veterinary Medical Association, CVMA. CWEN.ca, Canadian Women's Health Network, CWHN. CWQA.com, Canadian Water Quality Association, CWQA. CWSA.ca, Canadian Wheelchair Sports Association, CWSA. CWWA.ca, Canadian Water and Wastewater Association, CWWA. DonCanada.net, Disabled Women's Network, DON, Canada. Denturist.org, Denturist Association of Canada, DAC. Dermatology.ca, Canadian Dermatology Association, CDA. Diabetes.ca, Canadian Diabetes Association. Dietitians.ca, Dietitians of Canada. Disabilitiestudies.ca, Canadian Centre on Disability Studies, CCDS. Dyslexia Association.ca, Canadian Dyslexia Association, CDA. EHFC.ca, Environmental Health Foundation of Canada, EHFC. EnableLink.org, Canadian Abilities Foundation, CAF, Disabilities. Epilepsy.ca, Epilepsy Canada, Epilepsy Canada. Epilepsymatters.com, Canadian Epilepsy Alliance, CEA. Eyesight.ca, Canadian Ophthalmological Society, COS. Facialcosmeticsurgery.org, Canadian Academy of Facial Plastic and Reconstructive Surgery. FinCaribC.ca, Finnish Canadian Rest Home Association, FCRA. FMLAC.com, Federation of Medical Licensing Authorities of Canada, FMLAC. Fragile, x.ca/default2.htm, Fragile X Research Foundation of Canada, FXRFC. FromGriefToAction.org, From Grief to Action, FGTA. GamblingResearch.org, Ontario Problem Gambling Research Centre. om/podstudentsforum/canpodstudents.html, Canadian Podiatric Medical Students. GiftHubSite.com, Operation Eyesight Universal, OEU, Canadian International. G-O-C.org, Society of Gynecologic Oncologists of Canada, GOC. GoSmokeFree.ca, Health Canada Tobacco Control Program. Guidedogs.ca, Canadian Guide Dogs for the Blind, CGDB, Canada, CA. GWKCannabisResearch.org, the Grant W. Krieger Cannabis Research Foundation. HaCanada.com, Canadian Hereditary Angioedema Society, CHES. hc-sc.gc.ca, Health Canada. hc-sc.gc.ca/english/rural health/index.html, Health Canada Office of Rural Health. Healthcoalition.ca, Canadian Health Coalition, CHC. Public Health Advocacy. Hemophilia.ca, Canadian Hemophilia Society, CHS. Hepatitis C Society.com, Hepatitis C Society of Canada, Canada, CA. Home.icon.net/CHA, Canadian Hyperlexia Association, CHA. hsc-ca.org, Huntington Society of Canada, HSC. hsf.ca, Heart and Stroke Foundation, HSF, of Canada. iara.usask.ca, Institute of Agricultural, Rural and Environmental Health, I.R.H., Canada. Ideas-Canada.ca, International Drug Education and Awareness Society, Ideas. Inspection.gc.ca, Canadian Food Inspection Agency, CFIA. Kidney.ca, Kidney Foundation of Canada. La Leche League Canada.ca, La Leche League Canada, LLLC. Breastfeeding Support Group. LDAC-TAAC.ca, Learning Disabilities Association of Canada, LDAC. Leukemia.ca, Leukemia Research Fund of Canada, LRFC. LHSC.on.ca/CAL, Canadian Association for the Study of the Liver, CASL. Liver.ca, Canadian Liver Foundation, CLF. Livernurses.org, Canadian Association of Hepatology Nurses, CAN. Lung.ca, Canadian Lung Association. Lung.ca/CTS, Canadian Thoracic Society, CTS. LupusCanada.org, Lupus Canada Canadian. Lymphoma.ca, Lymphoma Foundation Canada, LFC. Manipulativetherapy.org, Canadian Academy of Manipulative Therapy, CAMT. Marfan.ca, Canadian Marfan Association, CMA. MarijuanaParty.org, Marijuana Party of Canada. Masha.on.ca, Mines and Aggregates Safety and Health Association, MASHA. MDAC.ca, Muscular Dystrophy Association of Canada, MDAC. Medicalert.ca, Canadian Medical Alert Foundation, CAF. Medphysical.ca, Canadian College of Physicists in Medicine, CCPM. Medphysical.ca, Canadian Organization of Medical Physicists, COMP. MGMAC.org, Medical Group Management Association of Canada, MGMAC. MoodDisordersCanada.ca, Mood Disorders Society of Canada, MDSC. MSSociety.ca, Multiple Sclerosis Society of Canada. mypage.direct.ca/h/hutchings/chna.html, Canadian Holistic Nurses Association, CHNA. NOPR.org, National Association of Pharmacy Regulatory Authorities, NAPRA. Naturopathic Association.ca, Canadian Naturopathic Association, CNA. NCEHR, CNERH.org, National Council on Ethics in Human Research, NCEHR, Canada, CA. NCIC.cancer.ca, National Cancer Institute of Canada, NCIC. NDHCB.ca, National Dental Hygiene Certification Board, NDHCB. NDMAC.ca, Non-Prescription Drug Manufacturers Association of Canada, NDMAC. NIFTE.ca, National Initiative for Telehealth, NIFT. NIICHRO.com, National Indian Anti-Nude Community Health Representative Organization. NNAPF.org, National Native Addictions Partnership Foundation, NAPF. NursesUnions.ca, Canadian Federation of Nurses Unions, CFNU. OEMAC.org, Occupational and Environmental Medical Association of Canada, EMAC. OLOG, Canada.org, Operation Lifesaver, OL Highway/Railway Crossing Collisions and Opticians.ca, Opticians Association of Canada, OAC. Opto.ca, Canadian Association of Optometrists, CAO. Organ, Donation-Works.org, Canadian Transplant Association, CTA. Ornac.ca, Operating Room Nurses Association of Canada, ORNOC. Orthoparasitic.org, Canadian Orthopedic Manual Therapy Association, COMTA. Osteoporosis.ca, Osteoporosis Society of Canada, OSC. Ovarian Cancer Canada.ca, Ovarian Cancer Canada, OCC. Pando.ca/capo.htm, Canadian Association of Prosthetists and Orthotists, CAPO. Pando.ca/cbcpo.htm, Canadian Board for Certification of Prosthetists and Orthotists. Parkinson.ca, Parkinson Society Canada, PSC. Parkland-canada.com/CMS, Canada Mastocytosis Support, CMS, Canada, CA. Pharmacists.ca, Canadian Pharmacists Association, CPHA. Physicaliotherapy.ca, Canadian Physiotherapy Association, CPA. Plasticsurgery.ca, Canadian Society of Plastic Surgeons, CSPs. Podiatrycanada.org, Canadian Podiatric Medical Association, CPMA. PPFC.ca, Planned Parenthood Federation of Canada, PPFC. Prostatecancer.ca, Prostate Cancer Research Foundation of Canada, PRCF. Psychoanalysis.ca, Canadian Psychoanalytic Society, CPS. PWHCE.ca, Prairie Women's Health Center of Excellence. Radiationsafety.ca, Radiation Safety Institute of Canada, RSIC. RCDC.ca, Royal College of Dentists of Canada, RCDC. RCPSC.medical.org, Royal College of Physicians and Surgeons of Canada, RCPSC. Redcross.ca, Canadian Red Cross. SafeKid.org, Children's Safety Association of Canada, CSAC, Canada, CA. SafeKidsCanada.com, Safe Kids Canada, SKC. Safety-council.org, Canada Safety Council, CSC. SBHAC.ca, Spina Bifida and Hydrocephalus Association of Canada, SBAC. SCCA.ca, Student Canadian Chiropractic Association, SCCA. Schizophrenia.ca, Schizophrenia Society of Canada, SSC. Shiatsupractor.org, Shiatsupractors Association of Canada, SPAC. SHWatchman.org, Schwachman Diamond Syndrome Canada, SDSC. Blood Disorder. SIDScanada.org, Canadian Foundation for the Study of Infant Deaths, SIDS Canada, Canada. SIECCAN.org, Sex Information and Education Council of Canada, CCAN. Smoke-free.ca, Physicians for a Smoke-Free Canada, PSC. SOGC.org, Society of Obstetricians and Gynecologists of Canada, SOGC. srd.yahoo.com/s=6218669:d1/cs=4486889/http. srpc.ca, Society of Rural Physicians of Canada, SRPC. Substanceuse.com, Centre for Substance Use in Sport and Health, SUSH, Canada. Suicideinfo.ca, Suicide Information and Education Centre, SIEC. Canada. Suicideprevention.ca, Canadian Association for Suicide Prevention, CASP. Sunshine Coast Compassion Club.org, Sunshine Coast Compassion Club. TAC.medical.org, Trauma Association of Canada, TAC. TCPP-CAPCT.ca, Canadian Association of Psychoanalytic Child Therapists, CAPT. THALassemia.ca, Thalassemia Foundation of Canada. Thalidomide.ca, Thalidomide Victims Association of Canada, TVAC. TheCompassionClub.org, The Compassion Club. Canada's largest medical marijuana buyers. Thyroid.ca, Thyroid Foundation of Canada, TFC. TIGC.org, Thrombosis Interest Group of Canada, TIGC. Tourette.ca, Tourette Syndrome Foundation of Canada. TrafficInjuryResearch.com, Traffic Injury Research Foundation, TIRF, Canada. Transfusion.ca, Canadian Society for Transfusion Medicine, CSTM. TSCSD.org, Tuberous Sclerosis Canada, TSC. ualberta.ca/CSPs, Canadian Society for Pharmaceutical Sciences, CSPs. ualberta.ca/J-Hibbard/can_ACHN, Canadian Association for the History of Nursing. UNC.org, Urology Nurses of Canada, UNC. VRAN.org, Vaccine Risk Awareness Network, VRAN. Canada. Wildlife.usask.ca, Canadian Cooperative Wildlife Health Centre, CCWHC. WishCanada.ca, World Institute for Self-Healing, WISH, Canada, Canada, CA. WOMB.ca, World Organization Ovulation Method Billings Canada, WOM Canada. Canadian Medical Organizations too. CanadianRN.com, Nursing Employment Directory. CDA.ca, Canadian Dental Assistants Association. CDA-ADC.ca, Canadian Dental Association. CHES.org, Canadian Healthcare Engineering Society. CHHA.ca, Canadian Hard of Hearing Association. CPHA.ca, Canadian Public Health. CSCB.ca, Canadian Society for Epidemiology and Biostatistics. CSIH.org, Canadian Society for International Health Job Opportunities. CSIH.org, the Canadian Society for International Health. Diabetes.ca, Canadian Diabetes Association. JobScience.com, JobScience.com. NursingIndex.com, Canadian Nursing Index. Opticians.ca, Opticians Association. PyroRegistry.com, Physician Job Registry. PhysicianJobSearch.com, Physician Job Search. Canadian Medical Organizations 3. Ability Online. 1120 Finch Avenue West. Number 104. Toronto, on M3J3H7. 866-650-6207. 416-650-6207. Fax, 416-650-5073. System.manager@ablelink.org. abilityonline.org. ablelink.org. About Face International. 123 Edward Street. Number 1003. Toronto, on message 1 times 10 squared. 800-66 face. 800-665-3223. 416-997-2229. Fax, 416-597-8494. info@aboutfaceinternational.org. aboutfaceinternational.org. Facial disfigurement. Accessible Transportation Directorate. 15 Eddy Street. Hull, QCK1 on 9. 800-883-1813. 800-669-5575, TTY. 819-997-6828. Fax, 819-953-6019. cta-otc.gc.ca. Access for Disabled People. Acoustic Neuroma Association of Canada. POB 369. Edmonton, UP T5J2J6. 403-428-3384. Fax, 403-425-8519. 800-561-2622. Annecy@compusmart.ub.ca. Active Living Alliance. For Canadians with a Disability. 1101 Prince of Wales Drive. Number 230. Ottawa, on K2C3W7. 613-723-8710. Fax, 613-723-1060. 800-771-27 0663. Disability.alliance@activeliving.ca. activeliving.ca/activeliving/alliance. Alberta Lymphedema Association. 55, Brook Park Crescent Southwest. Calgary, UB. 403-281-9205. albertalimpedema.com. Alcoholics Anonymous, AA. National Office. 234 Eglinton Avenue East. Number 202. Toronto, on M4P1K5. 416-487-5591. Fax, 416-487-5855. Alcoholics-anonymous.org. Allergy/asthma information. Association. POG 100. Toronto, on M9W5K9. 800-611-7011. 416-679-9521. Fax, 416-679-9524. National at AAIA.ca. AAIA.ca. Allergy, Asthma, and Immunology Society of Ontario. 2 Damaris Avenue. Downsview, on. 416-633-2215. allergyasthma.on.ca. ALS Society of Canada. 6 Adelaide Street East. Number 220. Toronto, on M5C1H6. 416-362-0269. Fax, 416-362-0414. 800-267-4257. ALS.ca. Lou Gehrig's disease. Alzheimer's Society of Canada. 20 Eglinton Avenue West. Number 600. Toronto on M4R1K8. 800-616-8816. Alzheimer.ca. info@alzheimer.ca. Alzheimer's Society. National Office. 20 Eglinton West. Number 1200. Toronto, on M4R1K8. 416-488-8772. Fax, 416-488-3778. 800-616-8816. Alzheimer.ca. Alzheimer.ca. Alzheimer's Society of Canada. 20 Eglinton Avenue West. Number 1200. Toronto, on M4R1K8. 416-488-8772. Fax, 416-488-3778. 800-616-8816. info@alzheimer.ca. Alzheimer.ca. Anaphylaxis Canada. 416 Moore Avenue. Number 306. Toronto, Ontario M4G1C9. 416-785-5666. Anaphylaxis.org. Andropause Information Request Line. 877-550-3931. Ankylosing Spondylitis Association of British Columbia. ASABC. 15822 Cliff Avenue. White Rock, BC. 604-531-8307. Ankylosing Spondylitis Support Group of Nova Scotia. 6960 Mumford Road. S13. Halifax, Nova Scotia. 902-429-7025. Arthritis Society. 1703-93 University Ave. Toronto, on M5G1 × 10⁶ 416-979-7228. Fax, 416-979-8366. Arthritis.ca. Arthritis Society of Canada. 393 University Avenue. Toronto. Arthritis.ca. Association of Registered Dental Technicians. 877-273-8668. RT.com. Association for Vaccine Damaged Children. 56 Briscoe Street, Brampton, on L6V1W8. 905-454-2237. Association for the Neurologically Disabled of Canada. AND. Canada Centre. 59 Clement Road, Etobicoke, on M9R1YS. 800-561-1497. 416-244-1992. Fax, 416-244-4099. info@n.ca. and.ca. Association de Paralysie Cérébrale du Québec. 988 Galt West, CP 1781. Sherbrooke, QC. 819-829-1144. Paralysie-cérébrale.com. Association of Medical Microbiology and Infectious Disease Canada. 298 Elgin Street, number 101. Ottawa, on 613-260-3233. mi.ca. Asthma Society of Canada. 130 Bridgeland Avenue, number 425. Toronto, on M6A1Z4. 800-787-3880. 416-787-4050. Fax, 416-787-5807. info@asthma.ca. asthma.ca. Audio Vision Canada. 150 Laird Drive Annex Building, Toronto, on M4G3V7. 416-422-4222. Fax, 416-422-1633. 800-567-6755. nbrs@idirect.com. webhome.idirect.com/nbrs. Support for blind people. Autism Treatment Services of Canada. 404, 94th Avenue SE. Calgary, Alberta T2JOE8. 403-253-6961. atsc@autism.ca. autism.ca. Autism Society of Canada. POB 6. Orangeville, on L9W2Z5. 866-874-3334. 519-942-8720. Fax, 519-942-3566. info@autismsocietycanada.ca. autismsocietycanada.ca. Back Association of Canada. 80 Collingham Street, Toronto, on M4V1B9. 416-967-4670. Big Brothers of Canada. 800-263-9133. Blue Cross. BC, 604-737-5528. UB, NWT, 800-661-6995. SK, 800-667-6853. MB, 800-262-8832. ON, 800-873-2583. QC, 888-625-7653. NS, NB, NF, PE, 800-561-7123. BlueCross.ca. Health Insurance Provider. Brain Injury Association of Canada. Central Senior Lions Recreation Centre. 11,113 to 113 Street. Edmonton, UB. 780-496-7366. BIAC-ACLC.ca. Breast Implant Line of Canada. 56 to Wren Avenue, Toronto, on M3H1R2. 416-636-6618. Burn Survivors Association. Ross Tilley Burn Center. Wellesley Hospital. 160 Wellesley Street East. Toronto, on M4Y1J3. 416-791-0545. 416-926-7021, info line. Canada Trigeminal Neuralgia Association. Newmarket, on 905-853-8949. catna.ca. Canada Pension Plan. 800-277-9914. 800-277-9915, French. 800-255-4787, TYY. Canadian Health Network. Health Canada. Ottawa, on K1A0K9. 613-957-2991. Fax, 613-941-5366. 800-267-1245, TTY. chn-webadmin@hc-sc.gc.ca. Canadian-healthnetwork.ca. Canadian Special Olympics. 40 St. Clair ABW. Number 209. Toronto, on M4V1 square meter. 416-927-9050. Fax, 416-927-8475. Olympic@inforamp.net. Canadian Society of Plastic Surgeons. 30 St. Joseph Boulevard East. Number 520. Montreal, Quebec H2T1G9. 514-843-5415. Fax, 514-843-7005. 800-665-5415. Canadian Medical Organizations for Canadian Society for Aesthetic, Cosmetic, Plastic Surgery. 4650 Highway No. 7. Woodbridge, on L4L157. 905-831-7750. Fax, 905-831-7248. 800-263-4429. Canadian Society for Exercise Physiology. 185 Somerset Street. Number 202. Ottawa, on K2P0J2. 613-234-3755. Fax, 613-234-3565. 877-651-3755. cscp.ca. Canadian Sleep Society. School of Psychology. École de Psychologie. Laval University, Université Laval. STE-FOI, QCGIK7P4. 418-656-3333. css.to. Canadian Sleep Society. National Office. 3080 Yonge Street. Number 5055. Toronto, on M4N3N1. 456-483-6260. Fax, 456-483-7085. Canadian Sickle Cell Society. Number 33. 6999 Côte de Neige. Montreal, QCH3S2B8. 514-735-5109. Fax, 514-735-5100. Canadian Rett Syndrome Association. Number 301. 555 Fairway Road. Kitchener, on N2C1X4. 519-494-1954. Fax, 519-893-1169. Canadian Rehabilitation Council for the Disabled. 45 Shepherd Avenue East. Number 801. Toronto, ONTM2N5W9. 416-250-7490. Travel info for disabled Canadians. Canadian Practical Nurses Association. 416-287-1346. Canadian Physiotherapy Association. 2345 Yonge Street. Number 410. Toronto, on MP4 2 times 10 to the power of 5th. 416-932-1888. Fax, 416-932-9708. 800-387-8679. Information at physicaliotherapy.ca. physicaliotherapy.ca. Canadian Pharmacists Association. 1785 Alta Vista Drive. 2nd FL. Ottawa, on K1G3Y6. 800-917-9489. Fax, 613-237-3520. cdnpharm.ca. pharmacists.ca. Canadian Red Cross National Office. 170 Metcalfe Street. Number 300. Ottawa, on K2P2P2. 613-740-1900. Fax, 613-740-1911. Feedback at redcross.ca. redcross.ca. Canadian Dermatology Association. 774 Promenade Echo Drive. Ottawa, on KISS 5N8. 514-931-3617. Fax, 514-933-8798. derm.ubc.ca/jcms. Canadian Parks and Recreation Association. 404, 2197 Riverside Drive. Ottawa, on K1H7X3. 613-523-5315. Fax, 613-523-1182. cpra@cpra.ca. cpra.ca. Canadian Orthopedic Foundation. POB 7029. Innisfil, on 416-410-2341. canerth.org. Canadian Coalition for Immunization Awareness and Promotion. Canadian Public Health Association. Association Canadienne de Santé Publique. 400. 1565 Carling Avenue. Ottawa, on 613-725-3769 EXT 139. 170. Immunize.cpha.ca. Canadian Organization for Rare Disorders. National Office. 151 Bloor Street West. Number 600. Toronto, on 416-969-7464. cord.ca. raredisorders.ca. Canadian Drug Manufacturers Association. 4120 Yonge Street. Number 606. Toronto, on M2P2B8. 416-223-2333. Fax, 416-223-2425. Canadian Spinal Research Organization. 120 Newkirk Road. Unit 2. Richmond Hill, on 905-508-4000. CSRO.com. Canadian Cochrane Centre. Institute of Population Health, University of Ottawa. 1 Stewart Street. 2nd floor, Ottawa, on 613-562-5800. ccnc.cochrane.org. Canadian Pediatric Society. 100-2204 Walkley Road. Ottawa, on K1G4G8. 800-580-0940. 613-526-9397. Fax, 613-526-3333. 3332. cpf@cps.ca. cps.ca. Canadian Organization for Rare Disorders. Alberta Office. 9011 to 142 St. N.W. Edmonton, UB. info@raredisorders.ca. cord.ca. raredisorders.ca. Canadian Osteogenesis Imperfecta Society. 128 Thornhill Crescent, Chatham, on 519-436-0025. oif.org. Canadian Society for Ectodermal Dysplasias. 250 The East Mall. Number 1770. Toronto, on 416-622-2874. edscanada.org. Canadian Parkinson's Society. 800-565-3000. Parkinson.ca. Canadian Paraplegic Association. 1101 Prince of Wales Drive. Number 230. Ottawa, on K2C3W7. 613-723-1033. Fax, 613-723-1060. canparaplegic.org. Canadian Lyme Disease Foundation. 2495 Reese Road. West Bank, BC. 250-768-0978. canleyme.com. Canadian Palliative Care Association. Number 28643 Brewer St. Ottawa, on K1N5C8. 613-241-3663. Canadian Society for Mucopolysaccharide and Related Diseases Inc. RPO Parkgate, POG 30034. North Vancouver, BC. 604-924-5130. mpssociety.ca. Canadian Multiple Endocrine. Neoplasia 1 Society. Box 100. Miota, SK. 306-892-2080. pompacanada.com. Canadian Marfan Association. Kingston, Renfrew area. Kingston, on 613-354-9422. marfan.ca. Canadian Marfan Association. 128 Queen Street South. Centre Plaza Postal Outlet, POG 42257. Mississauga, on 866-722-1722. marfan.ca. Canadian Marfan Association. Greater Toronto Area. Toronto, on 905-826-3223. marfan.ca. Canadian Malignant Hyperthermia Investigation Unit. 200 Elizabeth Street. Hashtag ES3-323. Toronto, on 416-340-3128. Canadian Marfan Association. Durham Region. Oshawa, on 905-985-9181. marfan.ca. Canadian Hyperlexia Association. Richmond Hill, on 905-886-4624. Canadian Marfan Association. Calgary, Southern Alberta. Calgary, UB. 403-203-2089. marfan.ca. Canadian Ehlers-Danlos Association. Ontario Chapter. Bolton, on 905-951-7559. Canadian Marfan Association. British Columbia, BC. 604-681-0186. marfan.ca. Canadian Ehlers-Danlos Association. Nova Scotia Chapter. New Glasgow, NS. 902-752-6213. Canadian Ehlers-Danlos Association. Manitoba Chapter. Winnipeg, MB. 204-668-0725. Canadian Association of Pampa. Alberta. UB. 403-227-4960. PampaCanada.com. Canadian Ehlers-Danlos Association. 28 Waterbury Street. Bolton, on. 905-951-7559. Ehlers-Danlos.ca. Canadian Liver Foundation National Office. 365 Bloor Street West. Number 200. Toronto, on M4W 314. 416-964-1953. Fax, 416-964-0024. 800-563-5483. Liver.ca. CLF@liver.ca. Canadian Association of Pampa. Quebec. QC. 819-878-1114. PampaCanada.com. Canadian Association of Pampa. Ontario. On. 905-821-0623. PampaCanada.com. Canadian Association of Pampa. New Brunswick, NB. 506-273-3013. PampaCanada.com. Canadian Transplantation Society. Toronto General Hospital. 200 Elizabeth Street. 10-152. Toronto, on M5G2C4. 416-340-4252. Fax, 416-340-3492. Canadian Urological Association. Health Sciences Centre. Hashtag GE446. 820 Sherbrooke Street. Winnipeg, Manitoba R3A1R7. Fax, 204-787-3040. Canadian Women's Health Network. 419 Graham Avenue. Number 203. Winnipeg, Manitoba R3C0 cubic meters. 204-942-5500. Fax, 204-989-2355. 888-818-9172. CWHNCA. Canadian Medical Association. 1867 Alta Vista Drive. Ottawa, on K1G3Y6. 800-457-4205. 613-731-9331. Fax, 613-236-8864. Public Affairs at cma.ca. cma.ca. Canadian Pemphigus and Pemphigoid Foundation. 27 Beechwood Avenue. Number 302. Ottawa, on. 613-866-8708. Pemphigus.ca. Canadian Fertility and Andrology Society. 2065 Alexander de Seve. Number 409. Montreal, Quebec H2L2W5. 554-524-9009. CFAS.ca. Canadian Fitness and Lifestyle Research Institute. 185 Somerset Street West. Number 201. Ottawa, on K2P0L2. 613-233-5528. Fax, 613-233-5536. info@cflri.ca. cflri.ca. Canadian AIDS Society. 900-130 Albert St. Ottawa, on K1P5G4. 613-230-3580. Fax, 613-563-4998. 800-884-1058. 800-499-1986. KCNFO@cdnaids.ca. cdnaids.ca. Canadian Amputee Sports Association. 428 Lake Bonavista Drive Southeast, Calgary, UB T2JOM1. 403-278-8772. Fax, 403-271-1920. Canadian Association for Community Care. 701 Rideau Street, Ottawa, on K1N5W8. 800-391-6033. 613-241-7510. Fax, 613-241-5923. Canadian Association of the Deaf. 251 Bank Street, number 203. Ottawa, on K2P1X3. 613-565-2882. Fax, 613-565-1207. 613-565-2882, TTY. CAD.ca. Canadian Association of Independent Living Centres. 1004-350 Sparks Street, Ottawa, on K1R7S8. 613-563-2581. Fax, 613-235-4497. 613-563-2581, TTY. Indy.ca. Canadian Association of Occupational Therapists. Carleton Technology Centre. 1125 Colonel By Drive, number 3400. Ottawa, on K1S5R1. 613-523-2268. Fax, 613-523-2552. CAOT.ca. Canadian Medical Labs. 1644 Aimco Boulevard, Mississauga, on L4W1V1. 905-624-0440. Fax, 905-624-4433. Medical Diagnostic Testing. Canadian Society for Immunology. Department of Veterinary Microbiology. 52 Campus Drive, Saskatoon, SK. 306-966-7214. CSI-SCI.ca. Canadian Allergy, Asthma and Immunology Foundation, CAF. 774 Echo Drive, Ottawa, on 613-730-6272. AllergyFoundation.ca. Canadian Society of Allergy and Clinical Immunology. 774 Echo Drive, Ottawa, on 613-730-6272. CSACI.medical.org. Canadian Immunodeficiencies Patient Organization. 362 Concession 12 East, RR #2. Hastings, on 705-696-1386. CIPO.ca. Canadian Organization for Rare Disorders. POB 814. Coaldale, Alberta T1M1M7. 877-302-7273. 403-345-4544. Fax, 403-345-3948. Office at cord.ca. cord.ca. Canadian Rheumatology Association. 912 Tagle Place, Newmarket, on 905-952-0698. rhem.ca. Canadian Association of Rehabilitation Professionals. 500-7030 Woodbine Ave, Markham, on L3R6G2. 905-940-9156. Fax, 905-940-8496. 888-876-9922. Canadian Association of Retired Persons. 27, Queen Street East. Number 1304. Toronto, on M5C2M6. 800-363-9736. 416-383-8748. Carp.ca. Canadian Association of Speech, Language Pathologists and Audiologists, CASLPA. Hashtag 401-200 Elgin Street, Ottawa, on K2P1L5. 613-567-9968. 800-259-8519. Fax, 613-567-2859. KLPA@klpa.ca. klpa.ca. Canadian Dermatology Association. 774 Echo Drive, number 521. Ottawa, on K1S5N8. 800-267-3376. 613-730-6262. Fax, 613-730-8262. Contact.cda@dermatology.ca. dermatology.ca. Canadian Dental Association. 1815 Alta Vista Drive, Ottawa, on K1G3Y6. 800-267-6354. 613-523-1770. Fax, 613-523-7736. Reception at cda-adc.ca. cda-adc.ca. Canadian Dental Hygienists Association. 613-224-5515. Fax, 613-224-7283. Canadian Association for Community Living. Kinsman Building, York University. 4700 Keele Street, Toronto, on M3J1P3. 800-856-2207. 416-661-9611. Fax, 416-661-5701. 416-661-2023, TTY. info@cakel.ca. cakel.ca. Canadian Association of Medical Microbiologists. Pathology/Lab Medicine Department. Royal Jubilee Hospital. 1900 Fort St. Victoria, BCV 6H3V4. 250-370-8270. Fax, 250-370-0301. Canadian Association of the Deaf. 251 Bank Street, number 203. Ottawa, on K2P1X3. 613-565-2882. 613-565-8882, TTY. Fax, 613-565-1207. cad@cad.ca. cad.ca. Canadian Association. On Gerontology. 1306 Wellington Street, number 500. Ottawa, on K1Y3B2. 613-728-9347. Fax, 613-728-8913. cagak@magi.com. For people who work with the elderly. Canadian Board of Medical Specialties. 800-776 CERT. Canadian Brain Injury Coalition. 29 Pierce Avenue, Winnipeg, MBR2V2K3. 204-334-0471. Fax, 204-339-1034. 800-735-2242. cbic.ca. Canadian Orthopedic Association. 4150 St. Catherine Street West, number 360. Westmount, QC. 514-874-9003. coa-aco.org. Canadian Cancer Society National Office. 10 Alcorn Avenue. Number 200. Toronto, on M4V3B1. 416-961-7223. Fax, 416-961-4189. Cancer.ca. Canadian Liver Foundation. 2235 Shepherd Avenue East. Number 1500. Toronto, on M2J5B5. 800-563-5483. 416-491-3353. Fax, 416-491-4952. clf@liver.ca. liver.ca. Canadian Holistic Medical Association. 491 Eglinton Avenue West. App 407. Toronto, Ontario MSN Lab. 416-485-3071. Canadian Celiac Association. 190 Britannia Road East. Number 11. Mississauga, on L47 1W6. 905-507-6208. Fax, 905-507-4673. 800-363-7296. Celiac.ca. Canadian Chiropractic Association. 1396 Eglinton Avenue West. Toronto, on M6R2H2. 800-668-2076. Fax, 416-781-7344. ccachero.org. Canadian Centre on Substance Abuse. 75 Albert Street. Number 300. Ottawa, on KIP 5 times 10 to the power of 7th. 613-235-4048. Fax, 613-235-8101. ccsa.ca. Canadian Lung Association. 3 Raymond Street. Number 300. Ottawa, on K1R1A3. 888-566-5864. 613-569-6411. Fax, 613-569-8860. info@lung.ca. lung.ca. Canadian Marfan Association. Central Plaza Postal Outlet. 128 Queen Street. POG 42257. Mississauga, on L5M4ZO. 905-826-3223. Fax, 905-826-2125. marfan.ca. Canadian Chiropractic Association. 1396 Eglinton Avenue West. Toronto, on M6C 2 times 10 to the power of 4th. 416-781-5656. Fax, 416-781-7344. 800-668-2076. ccachero.org. Canadian Clearinghouse on Disability Issues. Human Resources Development Canada. 100-25 Eddie St. Hull, QCK1OMs. 800-665-9017. 800-561-9706, TTY. 819-994-7514. Fax, 819-953-4797. HRDC.ca. Canadian College of Health. Record Administration. 416-447-4900. CHR.ca. Health Record Association. Canadian Coordinating Council of Deafness. 55 Parkdale Avenue. Ottawa, on Key 1 times 10 to the power of 5th. 613-728-001. 0936. Canadian Council on Rehabilitation and Work. 500 University Avenue. Number 302. Toronto, on M5G1V7. 416-260-3060. 416-260-9223, TTY. Fax, 416-260-3093. Workandk.com. Canadian Council of the Blind, CCB. 396 Cooper Street. Number 401. Ottawa, on K2P2H7. 877-304-0968. 613-567-0311. Fax, 613-567-2728. ccb@ccbnational.net. ccbnational.net. Canadian Cystic Fibrosis Foundation. 2221 Yonge Street. Number 601. Toronto, on M4S2B4. 800-378-2233. 416-485-9149. Fax, 416-485-0960. info@cysticfibrosis.ca. cysticfibrosis.ca. Canadian Spinal Research Organization. 120 Newkirk Road. Unit 2. Richmond Hill, on L4C9S7. 800-361-4004. 905-508-4000. Fax, 905-508-4002. csro@globalsurvey.net. csro.com. Canadian Dental Association. 1815 Alta Vista Drive. Ottawa, on KIG3Y6. 613-523-1770. Fax, 613-523-7736. 800-267-6354. CETA-ADC.ca. Canadian Dermatology Association. 774 Promenade Echo Drive. Ottawa, on K155N8. 514-931-3617. Fax, 514-933-8798. derm.ubc.ca/jcms. Canadian Diabetes Association. National Office. 15 Toronto Street. Number 800. Toronto, on M5C2 x 10 cubed. 416-363-3373. Fax, 416-214-1899. 800 Banting. Diabetes.ca. info@cda-nat.org. Canadian Dyslexia Association. 25 Rue Saint Medard. Aylmer, QCJ9H1Z4. 514-684-9040. Fax, 514-684-6157. Canadian Epilepsy. 866 Epilepsy. 877 Seizure. Epilepsy.ca. Canadian Ophthalmological Society. 1525 Carling Avenue. Number 610. Ottawa, on KIS. 613-729-6779. Fax, 613-729-7209. 800-267-5763. eyesight.ca. Canadian Down Syndrome Society. 811 14th Street Northwest. Calgary, UP T2N2A4. 800-883-5608. 403-270-8500. Fax, 403-270-8291. dsinfo@cdss.ca. cdss.ca. Canadian Lung Association. 1900, City Park Drive, Gloucester, on KIJ1A3. 613-747-6776. Fax, 613-747-7430. Lung.ca. info@lung.ca. Canadian Diabetes Association. 15, Toronto Street. Number 800. Toronto, on M5C2 x 10 cubed. 416-363-3373. Fax, 416-363-1899. 800-361-1306. 800-326-7712. 800 Banting. info@diabetes.ca. Diabetes.ca. Canadian Cancer Society. 10, Alcorn Avenue. Number 200. Toronto, on M4V3B1. 888-939-3333. 416-961-7223. Fax, 416-961-4189. info@cis.cancer.ca. Cancer.ca. Canadian Cardiovascular Society. Number 401. 360 Abbey. Victoria. Westmount, QCH3Z2N4. 514-482-3407. Fax, 514-482-6574. Canadian Foundation for Ileitis and Colitis/Crohn's Disease. 12, Parkmount Crescent. Nepean, on K2M5T4. 613-596-9635. Canadian Foundation of Genetic Diseases Network. 2125 East Mall. Number 249. UBC. Vancouver, BCV6T1Z4. 604-822-7189. Fax, 604-822-7945. cgdn.jenners.ca. Canadian Genetic Diseases Network UBC. Number 348. 2125 East Mall. Vancouver, BCV6T1Z4. 604-822-7189. Fax, 604-822-7945. Canadian Medical Organizations 5. Canadian Foundation for Physically Disabled Persons 731 Runnymede RD. Toronto, on M6N3V7. 416-760-7351. Fax, 416-760-9405. Winnet@simpatico.ca. Canadian Foundation for Poliomyelitis and Rehabilitation. 2020, 15th Street Northwest. Calgary, UP-T2M3N8. 403-284-1161. Fax, 403-284-9899. Canadian Guide Dogs for the Blind. 4120 Rideau Valley Drive North. POG 280. Manatic, on K4M1A3. 613-692-7777. Fax, 613-692-0650. cgdb@simpatico.ca. Canadian Ms. Foundation. 877-714-2469. mssociety.ca. Multiple Sclerosis. Canadian Hard of Hearing Association. 205-2435 Holly LN. Ottawa, on K1V7P2. 613-526-1584. 613-526-2692, TTY. Fax, 613-526-4718. 800-263-8068. CHA national@chha.ca. chha.ca. Canadian Health Food Association. 520 Alden Road. Number 205. Markham, on 13U6A8. 905-479-6939. Fax, 905-479-1516. 800-661-4510. chfa.ca. Canadian Immunization Awareness. Canadian Public Health Association. 400, 1565 Carling Avenue, Ottawa, on K1Z8R1. 613-725-3769. Fax, 613-725-9826. Immunize@cpha.ca. Immunize.cpha.ca. Canadian Hospital Association. 17 York Street, Number 100. Ottawa, on K1N9J6. 613-241-8005. Fax, 613-241-5055. chha.ca. Canadian AIDS Society. National Office. 130 Albert Street, Number 900. Ottawa, Ontario KIP 5G4. 613-230-3580. Fax, 613-563-4998. cnaids.ca. Canadian Medical Association. 1867 Alta Vista Drive, Ottawa, Ontario KIG3Y6. 613-731-9331. Fax, 613-731-7314. 800-663-7336. cma.ca. Canadian Medical Alert Foundation. National Office. 250 Farron Street 301. Toronto, Ontario M3C3G8. 416-696-0267. Fax, 416-696-9340. 800-668-1507. medicalrt.ca. medianfo@medicalrt.ca. Canadian Naturopathic Association. 1255 Shepherd Avenue East, Toronto, Ontario M2K1 × 10 squared. 416-496-8633. Fax, 416-496-8634. naturopathicassociation.ca. Canadian Hemophilia Society. 625 President Kennedy Avenue, Number 1210. Montreal, QCH3A1K2. 800-668-2686. 514-848-0503. Fax, 514-848-9661. chs@hemophilia.ca. hemophilia.ca. Canadian Society for International Health. 1 Nicholas Street, Number 1105. Ottawa, on Kin 7B7. 613-241-5785. CSIH@csih.org. csih.org. Canadian Hearing Society. 271 Spadina Road, Toronto, on M5R2V3. 416-964-9595. 416-964-0023, TDD. Fax, 416-928-2506. chs.ca. info@chs.ca. Canadian Volks Sport Federation. POG 2668, Station D. Ottawa, on Key 5W7. 902-466-4421. Fax, 902-434-4221. chebukto.ns.ca/recreation/cvf. Canadian Hearing Society. 271 Spadina Road, Toronto, on M5R2V3. 416-928-2525. 416-964-0023, TTY. 800-465-4327. info@chs.ca. chs.ca. Canadian Hemophilia Society. 625 President Kennedy. Number 1210. Montreal, QCH 301K2. 514-848-9661. chs@odc.net. Canadian Holistic Healing Association. 308 East 23rd Avenue. Vancouver, BC V4V1X5. 606-876-5955. Canadian Home Care Association. Number 1005. 350 Sparks Street. Ottawa, on K1R7F8. 613-569-1585. Fax, 613-569-1604. Canadian Infectious Diseases Society. Number 3440 CTTC. 1125 Colonel By Drive. Ottawa, on K1S5R1. 800-668-3740. Fax, 613-523-2552. Canadian Institute of Child Health. 384 Bank Street. Number 300. Ottawa, on K2P1Y4. 613-230-8838. Fax, 613-230-6654. sich@sich.ca. sich.ca. Canadian Federation of Sport Organizations for People with Disabilities. 1600 James Naismith Drive. Gloucester, on M5C1V7. 613-748-5630. Fax, 613-748-5731. Canadian Institute for Barrier-Free Design. Faculty of Architecture. 201 Russell Building. U of MB. Winnipeg, MBR3T2N2. 204-474-8588. Fax, 204-474-7532. universal_design@umanitoba.ca. umanitoba.ca. Canadian Institute of Healthcare. 1851 Eglinton Avenue West. Toronto, on M6E2J6. 416-785-5572. Canadian Journal of Rehabilitation. U of Alberta. Vangele Centre. Edmonton, UB T6G2H9. 780-492-1734. Fax, 780-492-1626. Canadian League Against Epilepsy. Division of Neurology. Hospital for Sick Children. 555 University Avenue. Toronto, on M5G1X8. Canadian Massage Therapist Alliance. 365 Bloor Street West. Number 1807. Toronto, on M4W314. 416-968-2149. Fax, 416-968-6818. Canadian Medical Alert Foundation. 250 Farrand Drive. Number 301. Postal STA. Don Mills. Box 9800. Toronto, on M3C2T9. 800-668-1507. 800-392-8422, French. 416-696-0267. Fax, 416-696-0156. Canadian Deaf, Blind, and Rubella Association. 350 Brant Avenue. Brantford, on N3T3J9. 519-759-0520. Fax, 519-754-0397. Canadian Occupational Therapy Foundation. Number 308. 55 Eglinton Avenue East, Toronto, on M4P1G3. 416-487-5404. Canadian National Home Care Association. CHCA at travel-net.com. travel-net.com. Canadian National Institute for the Blind. 1929 Bayview Avenue, Toronto, on M4G3 × 10 to the power of 8th. 800-513-7813. 800-268-8818. 416-480-2500. 416-480-7417. 416-480-7498. Fax, 416-480-7700. Fax, 416-480-7677. Webmaster at cnib.ca. cnib.ca. Canadian Natural Health Association. 439 Wellington Street, Toronto, on M5V2H7. Canadian Ophthalmological Society. 1525 Carling Avenue, number 610. Ottawa, on KIS 8R9. 613-729-6779. Fax, 613-729-7209. 800-267-5763. eyesight.ca. Canadian Nurses Association. 50 Driveway, Ottawa, on K2P1 × 10 squared. 800-361-8404. 613-237-2133. Fax, 613-237-3520. Info at cna-aiic.ca. cna-nurses.ca. Canadian Naturopathic Association. 1255 Shepherd Avenue East, North York, on M2K1 × 10 squared. 800-551-4381. 416-496-8633. Fax, 416-496-8634. Info at naturopathicassociation.ca. naturopathicassociation.ca. Canadian Andropause Society. Laval Research Centre. 2705 Laurier Boulevard. Hashtag T3-67. STE-FOI, Quebec Give 4G2. 418-656-4141, extension 6241. Fax, 418-654-2215. Cancer Information Service. 888-939-3333, 24-hour. Candlelighters Childhood Cancer Foundation. 55 Eglinton Street East, Toronto, on M4P1G8. 416-489-6440. Fax, 416-489-9812. Caregiver Network. 561 Avenue Road, number 206. Toronto, on M4V2J8. 416-323-1090. Caregiver.on.ca. A directory of geriatric ENs and geriatric care managers. Cerebral Palsy Canada. C/O Cerebral Palsy Association of Alberta. Number 10. 8180 McLeod Trail South, Calgary, Alberta T2H2B8. 800-363-2807, in Alberta. 403-543-1161. Fax, 403-543-1168. CerebralPalsyCanada.com. Crohn's and Colitis Foundation of Canada. 60 St. Clair Avenue East, number 600. Toronto, on M4T1N5. 387-1479. 416-920-5035. Fax, 416-929-0364. ccfc@ccfc.ca. ccfc.ca. Deaf Youth Canada. Albert School for the Deaf. 6240 113th Street. Edmonton, UP T6H3L2. 403-422-0244. Dietitians of Canada. 480 University Avenue. Toronto, on M5F1V2. 416-596-0857. Fax, 416-596-0603. Disabled People International. 101-7 Evergreen PL. Winnipeg, MBR3L2T3. 204-287-8010. Fax, 204-453-1367. 800-749-7773. dpi.org. Dying with Dignity. 600 Eglinton Avenue East. Number 401. Toronto, on M4P1P3. 416-921-2329. 416-486-3998. Helps Dying Canadians. Dysautonomia Association. Number 1103. 343 Clark Avenue West. Thornhill, on L4J7K5. 905-882-7725. Fax, 905-764-7752. Dystonia Medical Research Foundation Canada. 106-8 King Street East. Toronto, on 416-488-6974. dystoniacanada.org. Dystonia Medical Research Foundation Canada. 106-8 King Street East. Toronto, on 416-488-6974. dystoniacanada.org. Easter Seals/March of Dimes. National Council. 90 Eglinton Avenue East. Toronto, on M4P2Y3. 416-932-8382. Fax, 416-932-9844. 416-932-8151, TTY. national.council@esmodnc.org. esmodnc.org. easterseals.com. Epilepsy Canada. 1470 Peel Street. Number 745. Montreal, Quebec H3A1T1. 877 Seizure, 734-0873. 514-845-7855. Fax, 514-845-7866. Epilepsy@epilepsy.ca. epilepsy.ca. Families of Spinal Muscular Atrophy Canada. POG 97. Rivers, MB. 800-866-0016. curesma.ca. Family Services Canada. Number 600. 220 Laurier Avenue West. Ottawa, on K1P5Z9. 613-230-9960. Fax, 613-230-5884. Heart and Stroke Foundation of Canada. 222 Queen Street. Number 1402. Ottawa, on KIP5V9. 613-569-4361. Fax, 613-569-3278. 888-H5F-INF0. hsf.ca. heartandstroke.ca. Heart and Stroke Foundation of Canada. 222 Queen Street. Number 1402. Ottawa on K1P5V9. 613-241-4361. Heartandstroke.ca. Histiocytosis Association of Canada. Box 29095. Okanagan Mission RPO, Kelowna, BC. 250-764-6104. Histiocytoses.ca. Huntington Society. 13 Water Street North. Number 3. POG 1269. Cambridge, on N1R7G6. 519-622-1002. Fax, 519-622-7370. info@hsc-ca.org. hsc-ca.org. Infertility Awareness Association. 1 Nicholas Street. Number 406. Ottawa, on Kin 7117. 613-244-7222. Fax, 613-244-8908. 800-263-2929. fox.nsdn.ca/IAAC. IAAC@fox.nsdn.ca. Institute for Scientific and Technical Info. Canada. 800-668-1222. cysti.nrc.ca. International Cystitis Association of Canada. POG 5814, STA. A. Toronto, on M5W1P2. 905-723-9368. Fax, 905-432-3847. International Council of AIDS Service Organizations. 399 Church Street. Toronto, on M5B2J6. 416-340-2437. Fax, 416-340-8224. icaso@web.net. web.org/icaso/webpage.html. IVF Canada, in vitro fertilization. 2347 Kennedy Road. Number 304. Scarborough, Ontario MIT 3T8. 416-754-8742. ivfcanada.com. info@ivfcanada.com. John Milton Society for the Blind. Number 202. 40 St. Clair Abbaye. Toronto, on M4T1M9. 416-960-3953. Juvenile Diabetes Foundation of Canada. 89 Granton Drive. Richmond Hill, on L4B2N5. 905-889-4171. Fax, 905-889-4209. Kidney Foundation of Canada. 16 Sherbrooke Street West. Number 300. Montreal, QCH4A1T6. 800-361-7494. 514-369-4806. Fax, 514-369-2472. Webmaster@kidney.ca. kidney.ca. Klippel-Treenauna Support Group of Canada. 3265 Turner Road. Windsor, on 519-966-0604. Lamplighters Children's Leukemia Cancer Association. POG 1285, STA. H. Montreal, QCH 362N2. 514-933-5384. Langer-Gideon Syndrome Association. 89 Ingham Avenue. Toronto, on 416-465-3029. Learning Disabilities Association of Canada, LADC, / Troubles d'Apprentissage Association Canadienne, TAAC. 323 Chapel Street. Number 200. Ottawa, on K1N7Z2. 613-238-5721. Fax, 613-235-5391. Information at ldac-taac.ca. ldac-taac.ca. ldac.ca. Leukemia Research Fund. Number 220. 1110 Finch Avenue West. Toronto, on M3J2T2. 800-268-2144. 416-661-9541. Fax, 416-661-7799. Lung Health Information Line. 800-972-2636. Lupus Canada. 18 Crown Steel Drive. Number 209. Markham, on L3R9X8. 800-661-1468, Canada. 905-513-0004. Fax, 905-513-9516. Lupus Canada at bellnet.ca. lupuscanada.org. Make-A-Wish Foundation. 800-267-9474. Grants Sick Kids Wishes. Lyme Disease Association of Ontario. John Scott. 365 St. David Street South, Fergus, on. 519-843-3646. Lymphedema Association of Quebec. 6565 St. Hubert. Montreal, QC. 514-979-2463. Infolimfo.ca. Lymphovenous Association of Ontario. 4161 Dundas Street West. Toronto, on. 416-410-2250. lymphontariO.org. Manitoba Ankylosing Spondylitis Association. 19 Carolyn Bay, Winnipeg, MB. 204-256-5320. Ontario Spondylitis Association. 159 King Street. Hashtag 203B, Peterborough, on. 705-742-7191. Medical Information Bureau. 330 University Avenue. Number 501. Toronto, on M5G1R7. 416-597-0590. MIB.com. This is a central watchdog agency which keeps medical records on people to give to insurance companies, which then determine if they are trying to perpetuate a fraudulent claim/policy. Contact them to get a copy of your medical report for about $8. You can get your medical record or your insurance records from them. medicalrt.ca. 800-825-3785. Get a medical alert bracelet. MEFM Society of BC. Box 462. 916 West Broadway. Vancouver, BC. 604-878-7707. Meningitis Research Foundation of Canada. POG 28015. RPO. Parkdale, Waterloo, on. 519-664-0244. Meningitis.ca. Migraine Association of Canada. 365 Bloor Street West. Number 1912. Toronto, on M4W3L4. 416-920-4916. Fax, 416-920-3677. 800-663-3557. migraine.ca. Multiple Sclerosis Society of Canada. 250 Bloor Street East. Number 1000. Toronto on M4W3P9. 800-361-2985. mssoc.ca. info@mssoc.ca. Multiple Sclerosis Society of Canada. 250 Bloor Street East. Number 1000. Toronto, on M4W3P9. 800-268-7582. 416-922-6065. Fax, 416-922-7538. info@mssociety.ca. mssociety.ca. Muscular Dystrophy Association of Canada. National Office. 2345 Yonge Street. Number 900. Toronto, on M4P2 × 10 to the power of 5th. 800-567-2873. 416-488-0030. Fax, 416-488-7523. info@mdac.ca. mdac.ca. National Gaucher Foundation of Canada. 4100 Yonge Street. Number 610. North York, on 613-521-5050. GaucherCanada.ca. National Institute of Nutrition. 265 Carling Avenue. Number 302. Ottawa, on KISS 2 × 10 to the power of 1st. 613-235-3355. Fax, 613-235-7032. nin.ca. National Ovarian Cancer Association. 620 University Avenue. Toronto, on M5G2L7. 416-971-9800. Fax, 416-971-6888. National Eating Disorder Information Centre. Canada Building. 344 Slater Street 10th floor. Ottawa, on KIR7Y3. 613-995-2298. Fax, 613-995-2097. nfpc-cnpa.gc.ca. National Institute of Nutrition. 265 Carling Avenue. Number 302. Ottawa, on K1S 2 × 10 to the power of 1st. 613-235-3355. Fax, 613-235-7032. nin.ca. National Eating Disorders Information Centre. Women's College Hospital. College Wing 1 to 304. 200 Elizabeth Street. Toronto, on M5G2C4. 416-340-4156. Fax, 416-340-3430. nedic.ca. National Cancer Society. 10 Alcorn Street. Number 200. Toronto, on M5S2V7. 416-961-7223. Fax, 416-961-4189. 888-939-3333. ncic@cancer.ca. cancer.ca. North American Chronic Pain Association. 105 to 150 Central Park Dr. Brampton, on L6T2T9. 905-793-5230. Fax, 905-793-8781. 800-616-7246. 905-846-0958. Fax, 905-793-8781. simpatico.ca/NACPOC. Ontario Rett Syndrome Association. POG 25096. London, on 519-850 Rett. 7388. Rett.ca. Ontario Association for Maple Syrup Urine Disease Research. 42 Alpha Mills Road, Mississauga, on 905-567-4188. Organ Donors of Canada. 5326 Ada Boulevard, Edmonton, UP T5W4N7. Organ Donation. Osteoporosis Society of Canada. 33 Laird Drive, Toronto, on M4G3S9. 800-463-6842. 800-977-1778, French. 416-696-2663. Fax, 416-696-2673. OSC at osteoporoses.ca. osteoporoses.ca. Parkinson Foundation of Canada. 4211 Yonge Street, number 316. Toronto on M2P2A9. 800-565-3000. Parkinson.ca. Parkinson's Foundation of Canada. 710-390 Bay St. Toronto, on M5H2Y2. 800-565-3000. Parkinson.ca. Participaction. 40 Dundas Street West, number 220. Toronto, on M5G2C2. 416-954-1212. Fax, 416-954-4949. participAction.com. Peel Hospital. 20 Lynch Street, Brampton, on L6W2Z8. 905-796-4477. Fax, 905-451-9888. Planned Parenthood Association of Canada. National Office. 1 Nicholas Street, number 430. Ottawa, on Kin 7B7. 613-241-4474. Fax, 613-241-7550. ppfc.ca. Prader-Willi Syndrome Association of Alberta. 9006 to 120 Street, Edmonton, UB. 403-459-1959. pws-ub.ca. Retinal Pigmentosis/RP Research Foundation. Number 704. 366 Adelaide Street West, Toronto, on M5B1R9. 800-461-3331. 416-598-4951. Fax, 416-598-9763. Rett Syndrome Society of Alberta. 220 Valhalla Crescent Northwest, Calgary, UB. 403-247-1673. RettSyndromeAlberta.org. Ronald McDonald Children's Charities. McDonald's PL. Toronto, on M3C3L4. 800-387-8808. 416-443-1000. Fax, 416-446-3588. Rubenstein-Tabie Syndrome Canada. 111 Twain Drive Winnipeg, MB. 204-226-0842. rtscanada.org. Saskatchewan Health Research Foundation, SHRF. 253-111 Research Drive. Atrium Building, Innovation Place, Saskatoon, SK. 1-800-975-1699. shoref.ca. Saskatchewan Health Research Foundation. SHRF 253-111 Research Drive. Atrium Building, Innovation Place, Saskatoon, SK. 800-975-1699. shoref.ca. Sci Action Canada. McMaster University. 1280 Main Street West IWCA 110. Hamilton, on. 905-525-9140 x21374. SciActionCanada.ca. Shwachman-Diamond Syndrome Canada. 2152 Gatley Road. Mississauga, on. 866-462-8907. shwatchman.org. Sleep/Wake Disorders Canada. National Office. 3080 Yonge Street. Number 5055. Toronto, on M4N3N1. 416-483-9455. Fax, 416-483-7081. Smart Risk. 790 Bay Street. Hashtag 401 Toronto, on M5G1N8. 416-977-7350. Fax, 416-596-2700. info@smartrisk.ca. smartrisk.ca. Social Science Federation of Canada. Number 415. 151 Slater Street. Ottawa, on KIP 5H3. 613-238-6118. Fax, 613-238-6114. Society for Muscular Dystrophy Information. POG 479. Bridgewater, NSB 4V2X6. 902-682-3086. Society of Obstetricians and Gynecologists of Canada. 774 Echo Drive. Ottawa, on Key 55N8. 613-730-4192. Fax, 613-730-4314. sogc.medical.org. Spina Bifida and Hydrocephalus. Association of Canada. Number 977. 167 Lombard Avenue. Winnipeg, Manitoba R3B0V3. 800-565-9488. 204-925-3650. Fax, 204-925-3650. spinab@mts.net. sbhac.ca. Spina Bifida and Hydrocephalus Association of Ontario. 555 Richmond Street West. Toronto, on. 416-214-1056. St. Elizabeth's Visiting Nurses Association. 698 King Street West. Cathedral SQ. Hamilton, on L8P1C7. 905-522-6887. Fax, 905-522-5579. St. John Ambulance Canada. National Headquarters. 1900 City Park Drive. Number 400. Ottawa, on K1A1A3. 613-236-7461. Fax, 613-236-2425. sja.ca. Support Group for Trisomy Canada. Number 420. 769 Brant Street. Burlington, on L7R4B8. 905-632-7755. 800-668-0696. The College of Family Physicians of Canada. 2630 Skymark Avenue. Mississauga, Ontario L4W5A4. 905-629-0900. Fax, 905-629-0893. cfpc.ca. The Progeria Project Foundation. POG 383. Colehurstub. 403-394-1612. The Asthma Society of Canada. 130 Bridgeland Avenue. Number 425. Toronto, on M6A1Z4. 416-787-4050. Fax, 416-787-5807. 800-787-3880. asthmasociety.com. The Society of Obstetricians and Gynecologists of Canada. 774 Echo Drive, Ottawa, Ontario K15 5N8. 613-730-4192. Fax, 613-730-4314. sogc.medical.org. The Sex Information and Education Council of Canada. 850 Coxsuckle Avenue, Toronto, on M4R5R1. 416-466-5304. Fax, 416-778-0785. The College of Family Physicians of Canada. 2630 Skymark Avenue, Mississauga, on L4W5A4. 800-387-6197. 905-629-0900. Fax, 905-629-0893. info@cfpc.ca. cfpc.ca. The Arthritis Society. National Office. 393 University Avenue, number 1700. Toronto, on M5G1 × 10 to the power of 6th. 416-979-7228. Fax, 416-979-8366. 800-321-1433. arthritis.ca. info@arthritis.ca. Thyroid Foundation of Canada / La Fondation Canadienne de la Thyroid. pub/c.p1919, Station Main. Kingston, on K7L5J7. 800-267-8822. 613-544-8364. Fax, 613-544-9731. thyroid.ca. Tourette Syndrome Foundation. Number 203. 3675 Keele Street, N. York, on M3J1M6. 800-361-3120. 416-636-2800. Fax, 416-636-1688. Tuber Sclerosis Canada. 2443 Newwood Drive, Oakville, on L6H5Y3. 800-347-0252. 905-257-1997. Tuberous Sclerosis Canada. 92 Kaplan Avenue, number 125. Barrie, on 800-347-0252. English, 866-558-7278. Francais. tscanada.ca. Turner Syndrome Society. 21 Blackthorn Avenue, Toronto, on M6N3H4. 416-781-2086. 800-465-6744. Fax, 416-781-7245. tssincan@look.ca. turnersandirome.ca. University Carpal Syndrome Center. 700 University Avenue, Shopping Concourse, Toronto, on M51Z5. 416-596-1773. Fax, 416-398-7957. Victorian Order of Nurses. 3190 Steeles Avenue East, number 300. Markham, on L3R1G9. 416-499-2009. Fax, 416-499-8460. Community Nurses. Vocational and Rehabilitation. Research Institute. 3304, 33rd Street Southwest. Calgary, UP T2L2A6. 403-284-1121. Fax, 403-289-6427. Voice for Hearing Impaired Children. Number 420. 124 Eglinton Avenue West. Toronto, on M4R2G8. 416-487-7719. Fax, 416-487-7423. Wagoners Granulomatosis Support Group of Canada. 446 to 425 Hespeler Road. Cambridge on. 877-572, WGSG, 9474. World of Dreams Foundation. Number 708. 465, Rue Saint-Jean. Montreal, QCH2Y2R6. 800-567-7254. 514-843-7254. Fax, 514-843-3822. YWCA of /Do Canada. 590 Jarvis Street. 5th floor. Toronto, on M4Y2J4. 416-962-8881. Fax, 416-962-8084. National at ywcacanada.ca. ywcacanada.ca.